All right, hello everybody, and welcome to the second part of our Typology of Force lesson. In this lesson, we're going to cover the first half of interrogatives. So, in our last video, we talked about how declaratives give you information. They state information, they're statements. Interrogatives ask for information, they're questions, right? Interrogative is just another word for a question. There are two main types of questions, cross-linguistically, and these are called polar questions and content questions. A polar question asks for a yes or no response, and a content question asks for information that's broader than yes or no, right? So an example of a polar question would be, do you like beans? And an example of a content question would be, what do you like, right? All that the polar question needs is yes or no. This one needs beans or going to the zoo or something more involved than that. All right. In this video, we're going to talk about the various ways that languages can indicate that a sentence is a polar question. The most common way, and this is often found in addition to other methods, is using intonation. So in Italian, if you say viene, it means he's coming. But if you say viene, it means is he coming, right? We've done nothing except change our intonation. You can do this in English too. It's a little weirder, but you can say coming, and that means are you coming, right? Or coming, right? Which means like, you know, here I come, right? It's a declarative. So the intonation, though, that patterns with declaratives and interrogatives is different. It depends on your language and even on your dialect. So one thing that makes Irish English different from like American Standard English is that in Irish English, oftentimes when you use a downward intonation like this, you're asking a question. Whereas when you use upward intonation, you're giving a statement. So if somebody is Irish and they say "comin," right, it might mean are you coming, right? Versus "comin" would mean I'm coming, here I come, right? So this is a place of variation. The intonation pattern is not fixed. It is a little more common to have downward intonation be declarative, downward or flat intonation be declarative, because it's less marked, right? It's easier, it's more natural because of the way your vocal system works. As you run out of air, your intonation naturally goes down unless you do some alterations. So this one's a little harder to do, and so often this is associated with questions, which are rarer than declaratives. So but, you know, that's a very slight trend. All right, another strategy that is commonly used and also used in English is a change in word order. So in Swedish, if you say he comes, it is a declarative, but if you say comes he, it's an interrogative, it's a question, right? So if we think about English, this is the same in English, right? So is he coming? Is the question, is he coming is a question, versus he is coming is a declarative. So a change in word order. In English, we'll use a change in word order plus an intonational change. But the change in word order by itself is enough to signal the question, right? So is he coming? You still know that you're asking a question even though I didn't change my intonation. It sounds a little bit weird, right? But because usually you would say, is he coming? With that intonational change. But then you say, he is coming, and you sound like a non-native speaker, right? So if you don't do the word order change in English, it's a worse way to do it than if you don't do the intonation. Other ways that languages do this is through a question particle. So here in Ainu, we have a declarative sentence, which means he is a rich person. If at the end of that sentence we add a little particle ya, that now means is he a rich person. If you guys know anything about north, sort of like north of the Great Lakes area or in Canada, you'll hear ya used in, or a, you'll hear a used as a question particle. So like, you know, he's a nice guy, eh? Right? And that means he's a nice guy, isn't he? Right? It means it's like a question particle, eh? Right. Other strategies. This one's very rare, but in languages that mark the declarative with a piece of morphology, the most common thing that they would do is they would change out that declarative marker for a question marker, right, which would be considered a question particle. But sometimes that declarative marker just goes away when you ask a question. So in this language from South America, kuhanya pi by itself is a question, kuhanya pi, and kuhanya pienk, ench, I think. I'm not really sure exactly how this was pronounced, but this, with the declarative marker, it's declarative. Without it, it's interrogative. And then there's also this strategy of using tag questions. And in English, when we use tag questions, and in most languages, you're adding extra implications to your polar question. So if I ask you, you like cats, or if I ask you, you don't like cats, do you? I'm expecting you to say, no, I don't like cats, right? Whereas if I ask, you like cats, don't you? You're understanding that you probably do like cats. So this is a strategy that is used. This is sort of like these kinds of things often evolve over time into question particles, right? So if you think about a in Canadian English, so he's a nice guy, eh? Right? You get an implication, yes, he's a nice guy, right? You would expect that to be yes, right? So in a way, a is still a tag question, but that is evolving into a question particle like this that doesn't carry those implications. All right, so in the next video, we will cover content question strategies, and so this concludes our little video about polar questions.